So kicking off the new year, it's time to begin talking about SMT again. Specifically, in this video is going to be how I even discovered the series. Now, how I discovered this series is by finding some random YouTube video. A duo reviewers, I don't remember their name though, it was like back in 2008, and they were talking about an RPG about high schoolers shooting themselves in order to activate the powers and defeat their demons. Well, are you surprised? It's Persona 3. Back when I was an edgelord middle schooler, I was like, I want this! Because it fit all the criteria that I liked back in the day, you know, emo looking protagonists, cool summons, the waifus, you know, they're just the usual. At that time, FES came out and I picked it up after convincing my dad that the mature rating was not a big deal because it just had, you know, gods and goddesses that are partially nude, you know, just like in the actual depictions on paintings and etc. And luckily, honestly, my parents weren't that even strict when it came to mature games, so blessed for that. The moment I started that game on normal, I got my ass kicked. But it was fine. We all gotta get our ass kicked in order to get better, right? Well, after a lot of losses on normal, I just restarted on beginner. Big F, but I mean, I just wanted to experience the game without losing every single battle. Yeah, I'm not that smart. But regardless, my entire summer was just waking up, playing Persona 3, going back to sleep, and then playing more Persona 3. I did this so much. I had this weird ass schedule where I would just play all day, sometimes all night, and then whenever I would pass out playing the game. I remember waking up and just seeing everyone dead except for the MC by the Reaper because I just passed out while exploring Tartarus. Yeah, some interesting experiences. After putting in over 100 hours into this game and beating it, I finally went back and restarted it on normal, and then I did it again on hard. It was just Persona 3 that entire summer. I was addicted and I needed more, just more. And that's when I heard Persona 4 was coming out later this year, and I was watching Master LL post their videos playing the Japanese version. By the way, shout out to Master LL because I learned how to be smarter in Persona by seeing how they play the game and the strategy they detailed in their description. I couldn't wait though. I was a very impatient person, and I still am. But that was good though, because at that point in my life, I never really cared about companies and their other games, only their flagship series. Like for example, I didn't care about Game Freak, I just cared about Pokemon. And I didn't really care about Nintendo, I just cared about The Legend of Zelda, you know, just flagship series. Nintendo's such a broad company though, but you get what I mean, right? And this was the first time I actually decided, hey, look at this company, it's called Atlus, let me Google it and see what other games they've localized and stuff like that. And that's when I discovered SMT. And oh boy. So despite what other starter guides and my persona will say on how you should start the series if, you know, you never played Shin Megami Tensei ever, just to get your toes wet, middle schooler me just went in blind. And my first SMT game that I picked up was Devil Summoner Raidou Kuzunoha versus the Soulless army. Yeah, no one's ever gonna tell you, hey, if you wanna start the series, play Raidou Kuzunoha. And it's not a bad game. In fact, this is my top 3 sub-series of the entire SMT library. And it's because Raidou is such a cool protagonist, and the setting and ties with Japan is unique even for SMT. And accompanied by one of the best soundtracks in SMT. And I will stand by that statement. If I ever talk about my rankings for the best soundtracks, you know already. Spoiler alert, Raidou Kuzunoha, that duology series, best soundtracks in the library. In my opinion, Soji Meguro blew it out of the water for these two games. Anyways, going away from the sidetracking, the reason it's not recommended is because it's not a turn-based RPG like most of the titles, it's an action RPG. Regardless, the upside is that it introduced me to a shared mechanic in SMT, and that's the moon phases. So it's not a complete loss to a beginner, and I'm not gonna get too into it because that's a whole video on its own. But just know that if you don't know about the moon phases, it's a very key mechanic in a lot of the SMT games, and it just influenced battles, negotiations, and fusions. I knew after Raidou that I developed an addiction to SMT. I was a hungry boy, and from then on, playing Persona 4 later that year and crying from beating it. And yeah, I cry in the shower because I beat the game. And no, don't get me wrong, it wasn't because of the ending. It was because I beat it, and there's nothing else except for New Game Plus content. Yeah, I'm a messy person, as you can tell, but the whole point of this video is that I just wanted to share my history and how I discovered the series and fell in love with it. And also to show that yes, there's better SMT games to start out with if you're a beginner, but if you don't care about that, or you just decide, you know what, I'm just gonna pick up this game that I can grab, this SMT game that's in my local game shop, and I'm just gonna start with that, that's perfectly fine. I don't think there's technically a bad choice in quotations if you're going for too many specifications. But regardless, what I'm trying to say is that there's no wrong answer to the series, at least when it comes to the more modern series. And maybe it's because I'm a little biased and I just love it so much, but who cares? And I would never have imagined this series to explode at this point in time. I came from an era where, I sound old saying that when there's people who are far older than me, but anyone who from before 2010s, anyone who would look up SMT, they would be lucky to find a guide. Like, you had to go to maybe the Game Facts forums or anywhere else. I don't know. It was just really, it wasn't easy finding information, guides, tips, just people just talking about the series unless you just go really, really deep into the community. But now there's guides everywhere. You look up SMT guide and then there's thousands of videos. I would never have imagined that. Back in the day, you would be lucky to even find good quality music, let alone a good video guide. So I am excited for the future. Even if our games may not be coming out as freaking as they used to be, at the very least, the community is the strongest it's ever been. So with that all out of the way, I want to pass along to you guys. How did you get into the series? How'd you fall in love with it? I'm pretty sure everyone's gonna say Persona, but you know, maybe you didn't start with Persona. Maybe you started with SMT4, or maybe you were even older than that, and maybe your first game was Nocturne. Hell yeah, tell me how you like the series. Tell me some fun stories and stuff. And I mean, I'm gonna continue talking about SMT, prepare for that. And I mean, like, everything that my experiences with it, what I've done as before YouTube, my history making very outdated theories and talking about SMT, but it's really my favorite series of all time, and I don't know what I would be as a gamer if it wasn't for this series. So let's embrace each other, let's embrace SMT, and let's get hyped for SMT 5. Oh my god, please give me more fun. I'm desperate. But until then, you already know, stay salty.